In the entertainment industry, popularity frequently has a negative aspect. This is the tale of Drake Bell, a former child star whose life unexpectedly turned dark due to disturbing claims that were not adequately explored in the documentary Quiet on Set. Because of Nickelodeon, Drake Bell was one of the most well-known young performers at the beginning of the new millennium. The actor first gained recognition in 1999 as a recurring cast member on The Amanda Show. He then shot to fame in 2003 when he and Josh Peck co-starred in the hit television series Drake and Josh, in which they played stepbrothers who spent their days getting into hilarious mischief and trying to figure out typical teenage issues. But Bell's celebrity childhood didn't always prepare him for adult duties or life's realities. Drake Bell, known for his role on Nickelodeon's Drake and Josh, has faced past sexual assault from former dialogue coach Brian Peck. In 2020, allegations of verbal and physical abuse surfaced, indicating a concerning pattern. A new investigation Discovery docuseries contains several unsettling bombshells and allegations, ranging from former child actor Drake Bell speaking out about being sexually assaulted by a Nickelodeon dialogue coach to sexist accusations made against producer Dan Schneider by the only two female writers of The Amanda Show. In Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV, many Dan Schneider-produced programs are examined, along with other aspects of the poisonous culture of children's television that young performers and others had to face in the 1990s and 2000s. In addition, it includes interviews with former cast members, writers, and staff from popular Nickelodeon series, including Zoe 101, The Amanda Show, and All That, who discuss the purportedly unsettling climate that exists behind the scenes. Following an internal inquiry into his alleged verbally abusive and demanding behavior on set, Schneider departed the network in 2018. Schneider has refuted accusations of wrongdoing. Drake Bell is speaking out for the first time about being sexually abused by acting and conversation coach Brian Peck of Nickelodeon. The next ID documentary, Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV, which will debut on March 17 and 18th, explores both the physical and purported emotional abuse by Brian Peck and Nick creator Dan Schneider. The juvenile was not identified until after Peck, 43, was arrested in 2003 on 11 counts, which included sodomy, indecent conduct upon a child 14 or 15 by a person 10 years older, and oral copulation by anesthetic or controlled drug. Drake Bell shares his story about his close friendship with Peck, who he met on The Amanda Show. Bell's father complained about Peck's excessive time with his son, leading to producers ostracizing him for his sexual orientation.
I started seeing Brian start to just hang around Drake too much, and it didn't set well with me.
Bell was forced out of his son's life, but found it easier to stay at Peck's house in Los Angeles for auditions. The Nickelodeon youngsters were not unusual in their visits to Peck's house. His parents also adored him. According to Kyle Sullivan, who has been on The Amanda Show and All That, everyone trusted Brian. Sullivan also related a barbecue at Peck's house, where he had a painting of a birthday clown with balloons and a monument to the Planet of the Apes in the garage. Peck responded to the children's questions by telling them, with pride, that it was a gift from serial murderer John Wayne Gacy, with the words,
"To Brian, I hope you enjoy the painting. Best wishes, your friend, John Wayne Gacy."
He also showed them the letters and pictures that Gacy had left on the nightstand in his bedroom, because they had become pen pals during his incarceration.
Your instinct is to give someone the benefit of the doubt. If you've known them for that long, even in the face of this really bad sign.
Sullivan explained, "This man is not safe, even though he is essentially trusted as a child supervisor." For the first time, conversation coach Brian Peck, who is unrelated to Bell's co-star Josh Peck, molested Drake Bell, the one-time star of Drake and Josh, on many occasions when Bell was just 15 years old. In 1999, Bell got a role as an actor on The Amanda Show on Nickelodeon. On the opening day of the second season of the program the following year, Bell made the acquaintance of dialogue coach Brian Peck, who would later invite him to his home for acting classes. After staying at Peck's for several nights, he said that everything changed with Brian one morning. I was dozing off on the couch, as is my custom, when I opened my eyes and realized I was awake, and he started abusing me sexually. Belle stated, "I just froze, completely shocked, and didn't know how to react or what to do. I don't know how to get out of this situation."
I was sleeping on the couch where I would usually sleep. I just opened my eyes, I woke up, and he was sexually assaulting me.
He was 15 at the time and had no idea what to do, so he decided to keep it this secret, as he knew that if he stopped going to Peck's, people would start to wonder. Peck promised it would never happen again and expressed his deep regret. Belle adds that he was scared to speak out and that the assault occurred more than one time. He found a way to persuade my mother and everyone else in the vicinity that if I had an audition or wanted to practice dialogue or anything else, I would somehow find myself back at Brian's place and things would only become worse. All I knew is I was stuck. I had no way out, Belle remarked. There was a lot of abuse and it became rather violent. I'm not sure how to go into further detail about it on video, so I'll just answer your question after you consider the worst possible acts of sexual assault. There is no other way for me to say it. Although Belle didn't notify the police right away, he claims in the documentary that his girlfriend's mother sensed a problem when Peck phoned frequently one evening while he was at the house. Thinking he was in danger, she took him to see a therapist following that. I just didn't know how to express it. I was too afraid to say anything. I don't still. That is something I've never discussed outside of therapy. I just replied, "No, nothing has happened. Everything is normal. Things are getting a little weird. It's a good thing we discovered it early." Belle remembers that he soon realized how calculated Peck was and referred to the whole thing as mental manipulation. Belle stated that the acting instructor could go, "Well, you're never going to work with this person," because he knew so many Hollywood executives. I thus thought that I would never be able to accomplish this again. I chose not to take that chance. I chose to keep it within since I was doing what I wanted to do. He said that shortly after, Peck attempted to be cast as the show's father when he started reshooting the Drake and Josh pilot. "That is not going to happen. You're not coming anywhere near this show," Belle recalls. He exploded on the phone with his mother shortly after, telling her everything. Her first action was to contact the police, and they launched a brutal inquiry. I had to go into unbearable detail with 2 strangers about everything that happened each time. The worst thing was that I had to contact Brian and force him to acknowledge what he had done, Belle remarked, going on to remark that the scene looked like a movie, with the cops listening in on the conversation. I responded, "I'm having a lot of trouble with these things right now. Right now, I'm experiencing extreme emotional agony and torment. What caused this to occur?" He just launched into an intense confession. "Are we being recorded?" was the question he asked often. Belle was under a lot of stress. He claimed, "I was losing my hair and had these huge scabs on my head. I was feeling both relief and anxiety at the same time. Do you know whether I'll make it through this?" Schneider phoned him following Peck's arrest in August 2003 to see whether there was any connection between the two of them. "Dan and I were close enough for me to say, 'Yeah, man, this is what he's been doing.' Dan just says, 'You don't need to talk about it anymore. I only need to hear that. Are things going well for you? Is there anything I can do for you? Is there anything you need?' He thought back. It was pretty obvious that Brian was spending a lot of time around me." Schneider allegedly ordered the parents to vacate the room so that our friends could address the children shortly after the arrest, according to Sullivan, during a table read for All That. When Peck told the children he would not be staying, he asked if anybody else had anything to say. Schneider denied any involvement in notifying the All That family what had happened to the documentary producers. Nobody at Nick was aware of the victim's identity at the time, and they stayed that way. Belle began filming Drake and Josh a few weeks after Peck was arrested. He liked the role, but he didn't know how to process the joy and excitement of the project, given the tragedy he had endured. That, in my opinion, caused a great deal of self-loathing and self-destruction. I would attempt abusing booze to get away with it. Drug misuse, basically, doing whatever to get away. Peck's sentencing wasn't until more than a year later in October 2004. In relation to Bell's case, Peck entered a plea of not guilty in 2004 to charges of oral copulation with a kid under 16 and committing an indecent act with a 14 or 15-year-old. Peck was made to register as a sexual offender after serving a 16-month sentence. Bell's victim identity was not disclosed at the time. Nickelodeon responded in a statement to People. Now that Drake Bell has disclosed his identity as the plaintiff in the 2004 case, we are dismayed and saddened to learn of the trauma he has endured, and we commend and support the strength required to come forward. Bell claims that until he confided in Schneider, Schneider was unaware that Bell was Peck's victim. The actors who submitted letters of support for Brian Peck when the infamous former dialect coach was about to be jailed in 2004 for sexually assaulting Bell are also told in quiet on set. It's unclear how much information Peck's supporters at the time were aware of regarding the accusations. Celebrities who supported Peck, an actor and dialogue coach who molested Bell sexually when he was 15 years old, included Taran Killam, James Marsden, Kimmy Robertson from Twin Peaks, Alan Thicke and Joanne Kearns from Growing Pains, Rich and Beth Carell from The Amanda Show, Ron Melendez from American Horror Story, Tom DeSanto, producer of X-Men, and Will Friedle and Ryder Strong from Boy Meets World. James Marsden, who has known Peck since he was a youngster, stated in his letter of support for Peck, "I assure you what Brian has been through in the last year is the suffering of 100 men." An earlier request for comment from People was not answered by a spokesperson for Marsden. Television makers Beth and Rich Carell apologized in a letter to Variety for their support of Peck, who served 16 months in jail and had to register as a sex offender, following Bell's appearance on a podcast following the docuseries' viral success. Friedle, Strong, and Kearns have all stated that their letters were written because they were not given accurate information. Kearns wrote, "I now know that the information I used to write my letter of support was entirely false. I never would have written the letter knowing what I know today." DeSanto informed People, "I didn't fully understand the seriousness of the claims at the time, and I made judgments based on inadequate information that I was provided. I want to personally apologize to Drake and his family with the knowledge and understanding I have now, and I want to make it clear that I would not have supported them at all if I had been fully informed of all the claims. My initial instinct was, well, he's my friend. It can't be. It has to be the other person's fault," says Friedle, who was 27 years old, in his letter. The way he was expressing the tale makes perfect sense. "I wish I could cry now that I see how foolish I was at the time." The 24-year-old Strong stated, "He didn't indicate that nothing had happened. By the time we learned anything about the case, the narrative had always been, I did this, I'm guilty. I will accept the punishment the government decides, but I'm the victim of jailbait." On Instagram, Bell, however, retaliated, claiming that the two stars were attempting to use PR to save their skins. A lot of individuals said, "No, I won't write a letter," but they did. Will wasn't coerced. Brian told him as much, yet he nevertheless wrote the letter. Everyone believed the letters would be sealed forever and no one would ever see them, Bell continued. This is their PR advising them on how to break the news before everyone else. Drake Bell revealed his childhood sexual abuse trauma in quiet on set, causing dismay from Nickelodeon. Bell's father, Joe Bell, expressed unease about the growing rapport between Peck and Bell, comparing Peck's public touching and hand-holding behavior to a film of Leonardo DiCaprio and Brian Peck. Peck, who performed voiceover work on Sweet Life, was terminated after his conviction and replaced with a new voice and on-screen credits, while Bell faced legal troubles after his time on Nickelodeon. I would have stints of sobriety, and then the pressure would be too much, and all these demons that I had were very difficult to work through. And so I think a lot of my self-destructive behavior would always just be a temporary fix, and it would always creep back up, he said, noting that he lost his house when he went through bankruptcy and later got a DUI. There was definitely a slow decline in my mental health, sobriety, DUIs, behaviors that were happening because I was lost. Bell was detained in 2021 and entered a guilty plea to counts of attempting to endanger a child and publishing information that might be detrimental to minors. 200 hours of community service and 2 years of probation were imposed upon him.
Attempted endangering children, felony of the 4th degree.
Guilty.
He stated in the document, "I did what was asked of me, and I took responsibility for that. I was completely destroyed by the misinformation the media got its hands on, and I began to spiral out of control." Bell made news once more in 2023 when the authorities declared him to be missing and endangered. Bell stated, "If I had proceeded down that route, it may very possibly be the end of my story," without mentioning the incident precisely. "When I was at my lowest, I checked myself into a treatment facility where I had extensive trauma and grief counseling and was surrounded by individuals who, for the first time in a long time, genuinely cared about my recovery." Peck hasn't answered Variety's request for information. Though we cannot confirm or refute allegations of behaviors from productions decades ago, Nickelodeon, as a matter of policy, investigates all formal complaints as part of our commitment to fostering a safe and professional workplace environment, free of harassment or other kinds of inappropriate conduct, a representative for the network said in an interview with Variety. "Our top concerns are the welfare and best interests of all children, not only of our staff, actors, and crew. Over the years, we have put in place a number of measures to help make sure we are upholding both our own high standards and those of our viewers." The spokesman continued in reference to Bell, "Now that Drake Bell has revealed his identity as the plaintiff in the 2004 case, we are shocked and saddened to learn of the trauma he has endured, and we commend and support the strength required to come forward." Quiet on Set briefly discussed Bell's past abuse, but failed to fully investigate his adult allegations and explore potential psychological factors contributing to his alleged abuse towards minors. Drake Bell's story highlights the challenges in addressing allegations of abuse and harassment in the entertainment industry, highlighting the complexities and shadows of abuse in the world of fame. What do you think about the dark side of the entertainment industry and the support from other actors in favor of Brian Peck? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked this video, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon while you're at it so you are notified as soon as our next video is uploaded. Thanks for watching.